Nobody was watching at 5:45 in the morning. That was the point. The bears don't come out during the meets. They come out in the dark in February when you are alone on a backstretch and you have to decide what kind of person you are. Saturday, week 15. The backstretch. Dave Ellison was 17 years old when Sammie first noticed him. Not at a meet, not in a stadium. On a practice track behind a high school in Macon, Georgia, at 5:40 in February when the temperature was 31 degrees and nobody had asked him to be there. Sammie had been coaching track for 26 years. He had coached state champions, 2 Olympians, and more college scholarship athletes than he could count off the top of his head. He knew what fast looked like. He knew what gifted looked like. What he saw that morning was something else. Dave was running the backstretch of a 400, alone, no one watching, no clock running, no one to beat. And he was running it the same way he ran it in a meet with 2,000 people in the stands. Everything he had, every time, whether anyone was watching or not. Sammie stood at the fence for 20 minutes without saying a word. Then he went home and called Jesse Ellison. Jesse Ellison had 4 sons. The oldest 3 were built like their father, wide-shouldered, physical, the kind of boys who turned heads at Friday night football games. Dave was the youngest, lean, quiet, usually somewhere else when the family gathered for anything important, at practice, on a trail, running loops around the neighborhood at hours when sensible people were asleep. Jesse liked his older boys. He understood them. Dave he loved, but did not quite know what to do with. The boy was always training for something nobody else could see yet. When Sammie called and asked about Dave, Jesse was surprised. My youngest? He's fast, sure. But his brothers? I'm not calling about his brothers, Sammie said. I'm calling about Dave. Jesse was quiet for a moment. He's out on the trail right now, 5 miles before school. I know, Sammie said. I've been watching him for 3 weeks. Sammie came to the track the following Sunday morning. He waited until Dave had finished his workout. 6 400-meter repeats, full recovery between each, alone with a stopwatch and a notebook he kept his splits in. Dave saw him watching. He jogged over. You're Coach Sammie. You know who I am. Everyone knows who you are. Sammie looked at him for a long moment. 26 years of watching athletes had given him a specific kind of vision, the ability to see past what was in front of him to what was coming. He had been right about gifted athletes before, and many times. He had never felt what he was feeling right now. It wasn't just the times in the notebook. It wasn't just the mechanics or the drive or the pre-dawn miles in February. It was something underneath all of that. Something he didn't have a word for that wasn't going to sound strange out loud. He said it anyway. I've been coaching for 26 years. I've seen fast. I've seen gifted. I've seen disciplined. You are all 3 of those things. But that's not why I'm here. Dave waited. I'm a man of faith, have been my whole life. And I want to tell you something that might not make sense right now. It might not make sense for a long time. But I believe it, and I'm going to say it because I think you need to hear it. God has something on your life that goes beyond this track, beyond the 100 meters, beyond any contract or medal or record. I don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but I know what I see when I watch you run, and what I see has nothing to do with your legs. Dave looked at the track. I'm just a kid from Macon. David was just a shepherd from Bethlehem, Sammie said, until he wasn't. Dave didn't know what that meant. He was 17 years old and had never read the book of Samuel, but the words reached somewhere deep and stayed there. Sammie took him on as a private athlete. Not officially, Dave was still running for his high school. But in the mornings, in the extra sessions, in the conversations after practice when everyone else had gone home, he taught him 2 things that had nothing to do with running. The first, your public performance is built entirely on your private discipline. What you do when nobody is watching is the only thing that actually matters. The crowd at meets is just a witness to the work you did. The second, you will face things on this road that have nothing to do with the track, things that will test not your speed but your character. Your response to those moments, when you are alone, when it costs something, when no one will ever know what you chose. That is what you are actually training for. Dave listened. He was 17 and he filed these things away in the same notebook where he kept his splits. He did not fully understand them yet. Then his sophomore year, a teammate was caught taking performance-enhancing drugs. The whole team was investigated. Dave was called in. The coach asked him directly, "Have you ever taken anything?" "No." The coach looked at him. His times were exceptional. Better than exceptional. The numbers looked like a boy who was taking something. I believe you, the coach said finally. But people are going to ask. They asked for a whole semester. Rumors on the team, in the school, online. Dave kept training. He kept running his pre-dawn miles. He kept his splits in his notebook. He called Sammie one night. They're saying I'm cheating. Sammie was quiet for a moment. Are you? No. Then run. The track doesn't lie. Your times will answer every question anyone ever asks about you. Keep running. Dave kept running. State championship that spring. His times answered the questions. Sammie called it killing the bear. Nobody saw it. Nobody would ever know what it cost him that semester to keep showing up. But it made him the kind of athlete, the kind of man who could face anything that came next. Dave was 22 years old, 3 years into his professional career, when Saul Whitfield called. Saul Whitfield was the founder and CEO of Apex Athletic, one of the 3 largest athletic shoe and apparel companies in the world. He had built the company from a garage in Atlanta over 30 years, and it was as much a part of him as his own heartbeat. Dave had been wearing Apex since he was 15, not because of a contract, because he liked the shoes. When his agent started fielding offers after the national championships his junior year, Apex was one of 12 companies that called. He made the call himself. I've been watching you for 2 years, Saul said. Not just the times, the way you carry yourself, the way your teammates talk about you, what you did that semester when they were saying you were cheating. I know about that. Dave was quiet. I want you to run in Apex shoes, but that's not really why I'm calling. What are you calling about? A pause. I'm 68 years old. I built this company and I love it, but I've been watching it for 5 years trying to figure out who should run it when I can't anymore. Not my board, not my executives. Someone who understands what it was built for. Someone who sees further than the next quarter. I'm a sprinter, Dave said. I run the 100 meters. I know what you run, Saul said. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about when your career is over. When the track is done. I want you inside this company. I want you to learn it from the ground up. I want you to know it the way I know it. And then it's yours. When I'm done, when I step back, I don't have anyone else I trust with it. Dave sat in his apartment in Atlanta for a long time after the call ended. He thought about what Sammie told him when he was 17 years old on a cold track in Macon. God has something on your life that goes beyond this track. He called Sammie. Sammie picked up on the second ring. Dave told him about the call, everything Saul had said. Sammie was quiet for a long time. Remember what I told you when you were 17? I remember. This is what I was seeing, Sammie said. I didn't know what it looked like then. Now I do. Dave signed with Apex the following week. Not just the shoe contract, the agreement that would eventually, years from now, after the career, after the track, put him in the building with his name on the door. He told no one else what Saul had promised. He went back to training. The track wasn't done with him yet, and neither was God. The word was spoken. The oil was poured, so to speak. Dave went back to the backstretch. The Bears were still out there. He was just getting started. Tomorrow, the Sunday reflection. What Saul's slow fade and David's long wait tell us about obedience, patience, and the God who works in the backstretch of our lives.